investigation, no right to speak. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We got another dope show today. We're going to be talking about excuses as a culture, excuses as a race.
I give him a high 16 now.
So we're going to go ahead and get started.
Yes, sir.
I know a lot's been going on, with the coronavirus and a lot of people out of work.
Quarantine.
A lot of people panicking, they don't know what's going to happen in the future. But we're just going to discuss us as a culture, a lot of our excuses why we're in the situation that we're in. So
Yes, sir.
I'm going to let Gotti kick it off.
You know what's happening with y'all. Mr. Gotti, aka Darion. Like most of the things that we come into contact with, as far as our thoughts and our ways and excuses that we use, is because, as I quote on a lot of other things we talk about, is lack of knowledge. Being misinformed, not being informed at all, which is both, bad things to do. And while we always talking about this person did this person did that, we got an excuse for everything.
No, for sure.
Excuses is like assholes. We have an excuse. Everybody got one. And it's not just our particular, ethnical race. You know what I'm saying? That's multicultural.
We love all people.
Yeah, we love all people. And we just don't love all people. We're talking to all people.
For sure.
When we say hood politics, we mean we just coming straight to you. There's nothing hood about what we're saying. We're talking about of intellect, understanding, knowledge, and wisdom. You know what I'm saying? Some of the high principles known to man. And as far as even with excuses with myself, every time I look for excuses, it's for lack of better judgment and lack of education. Yeah. Me personally, and I tell anybody out there, inform yourself. Inform yourself about anything you do, your job, your culture, your rearing of your kids, being parents. Always try to be informed.
So I'm going to ask you this, Gotti. Do you feel like that a lot of people are suffering from that lack of education on all aspects of life? Because I feel like it's a lot of people suffering from like physical, right? Mm-hmm. Like illnesses and stuff, right? How they take care of themselves, what they put in their body, drinking water, taking vitamins, eating a lot of foods with high fructose corn syrup, soy, and all of that.
Once again, as you reiterated on it, we're coming to, it all stems back to one thing in my perspective.
Yeah.
My perspective, a lack of knowledge.
Of self.
But it's still, you gotta know, it's still in my opinion. I can't go with anybody else.
No,
my opinion, a lack of knowledge. This is so prevalent I can use two examples: the judicial system and in a religious aspect. Okay. The judicial system says this: the lack of knowledge about the law is your fault. Tells you that. The lack of knowledge about the law is your fault. Don't wait till you get caught up and I didn't know it's your fault. It tells you in the biblical sense and in many religious quotes.
So what you think about, don't you think that people have a certain responsibility to educate properly though?
No.
Because see, this is the thing that I'm saying. As you're a young man, right, going through the educational system, when you go to school, what is their job?
To educate you.
Okay, in what manner though? They're gonna give you the basics, like just read.
Oh, they're gonna
writing.
give you the basics. Then they're gonna teach you according to their.
Okay,
their script.
So when you go home, right? Once you go home, right, it's your parents' responsibility to educate you on the other things.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm saying money.
Let me jump in this. I view school not as far as I don't send my kids to school to be educated. Okay. Because I know within the system is more of an indoctrination.
Okay.
Because every household teach different. I look at school more as a platform where teachers can make can differentiate between the kids that got parent participation at home, and they're able to see that. And these are the kids that are usually ahead. And the teacher's job is to spot that and put them in these programs like the magnets and that. So that's what I look for that. Yeah, but more or less than that, I teach my kids.
And see, like I said, that's a very good way to explain that.
Yeah.
But why I'm just so hard of it, because I've seen it a lot by being in the school system and not learning a lot. Actually, at home with a two-parent home, but I still stick with. I'm going to be dogmatic in my conviction on this. All this comes from one particular thing. It tells you. I was just about to say it a minute ago. It don't say a few. It don't say a lot. All right. It don't say a few. It's right in the middle. It say many. Many will perish for the lack of what?
Knowledge.
Lack of knowledge. But what about the other saying? It says it takes a village
To raise a child.
So now what we gotta understand is, right, things have changed around when it comes to the economic system and the culture. See, back in the day, it used to be if somebody else's child acting up, I'm gonna whoop their ass too.
True fact.
And then I'm gonna take them to your parents and tell them why I whooped them, because I saw little Tyrone or little Ray Ray acting up. So I whooped him, and I'm, to get him on the straight and narrow. So now it's the lack of knowledge, and if you don't know anything, right, then you just gonna perish. But it's our responsibility to be ones that know, to educate those that want to know. And if it's those that don't want to know, then you let them do what they're doing. But I feel like that's what we become, so selfish as a culture that we just let everybody else perish when it's all about knowledge. Right? So sometimes we got to reach back and educate those that don't understand. Like right now, a lot of people are suffering and they from this coronavirus, but it's all stems from mucus in the body. Fluids. Fluids come from what? Eating bad. If you eat bad, your body is going to always produce mucus. That's where the virus lives. If the virus continues to live in your body, then it's going to overtake your whole body, and you're going to die. Yeah. But imagine if we continuously pass the information and say, okay, in the morning, you need to drink teas and hot stuff. I'm saying, like, you might get some sea moss or some apple cider vinegar, put it in the tea, and break all that mucus up. It'll help, against that illness. And that's what we're doing. We have lack of knowledge in our communities, but we also don't communicate and pass the information around so people aren't lost. And that's where we got to stop making excuses.
Yeah, if we, the knowledge of self, like as far as us as a people, is one thing I always tell folks when they say hip hop is our culture. We predate hip hop.
No, for sure.
That's not our culture.
No.
Look at what's pushed in the mainstream as far as in music. That's not our culture. So going back and learning knowledge of self, things that great inventions our people made. Yeah. How we used to live one with nature at some point in time. That's all humanity. But for us as a culture of people,
I feel like we don't go deep like we used to, because we so disconnected from what matters the most. And it is knowledge. It is knowing self. It's knowing the gifts and the light that we had from the beginning of time. You got to understand, it was creators, and whoever created the great things in the world may not have gotten the proper credit, but we have to educate one another on those people, and we got to know that these things are special. Like, a lot of you young kids don't know that they're special, and if you don't know that you're special, then you feel regular, and by you feeling regular, you don't feel a part of nothing. You have nothing to claim. And that's where I feel like a lot of us fall behind, because we want to be a part of something that we're never educated on who we truly were.
Let me ask y'all a question. What is one of the greatest inventions here in America?
The toilet.
The toilet? The toilet.
You know what? To be honest with you, it's so many vast inventions that I really can't even pick out one.
But let me tell you this. What happens if I start the United States Patent and Trade Office and everything you invent got to come through me? I can suppress your patent and take it from you. Or I can get paid. I can get all your intellectual properties. That's the greatest thing that's going on.
I knew it was something that was going to be regular, but out the norm.
I'm going to say the toilet, because if we didn't have the toilet, it'd be a shitty situation.
Yeah, a lot of diseases. You'll be having to worry about more than COVID-19.
For sure. A lot of things, like you said, a lot of things that we talk about, or we elaborate on, is I have a problem once again with the knowledge of how, as the generations have went down, the lack of knowledge and the lack of consciousness have went down. Like a perfect example, you just brought up about the CMOS, the teas, what we do now. We do a lot of fasting, cleansing, but this has nothing to do with a religious basis.
I'm fasting right now.
Yeah, and like I said, we fast for the month of Ramadan, but this has nothing to do when he says this in Elijah Muhammad's How to Eat to Live. Those things he's actually teaching in there, or has no religious basis. It tells you how to keep your body in one accord. You know what I'm saying? What beings do, what these special things do, like you said, the CMOS.
The Navy beans too.
Navy beans, yeah, all these things, it's a purpose in them, how to fast. Like I said, when you come in one with yourself, you eat once every 3 days before 3 o'clock.
Okay, so what do you think that our excuse is as a culture? Why things aren't the way they're supposed to be?
I'm gonna say more or less we focus on the wrong things in life. Like, some people will classify like racism as psychological mental disorder.
Okay.
But if you focus all your time worrying about racism, wait a minute. Nah, it ain't stopping me from doing this. It ain't stopping you from doing that. So we consume most of our time worrying about the race. It does exist. You know, but it's problems that exist.
Yeah, see, it exists in a way that they don't have to explain. So you can go into a bank and they can deny you, right? You can have the same score as another ethnicity, and they'll deny you and say that your score not high enough.
Yeah, but you got if you go back into the history of banking, like when you see all these Bank Americas and Wells Fargo, it was a Freedman Bank. They had 33 branches across the United States at one point in time, and they came through systematic oppression. And Frederick Douglass at that time, he gave $10 million to bail out the banks, but then it still dissolved when you start talking about like Tulsa, Oklahoma, and stuff like that.
The Black Wall Street.
Yeah, yes, sir. So a lot of our problems should be more based on, like I always say, financial.
Okay, so to me, I feel like we talk more about the problem than the solution. So when everything is problem based, you never get to the bottom of really solving the problem. See, it's always been financial, right?
Yeah.
With us. Because if you have no money, you cannot make anything happen. Without money, nothing moves, right? So we got to get back to that. Most of the time, I find people arguing over if they Democrat or Republican, then over how we can get some money together.
Yeah.
How can I get my credit right? How can I use my credit to leverage and have a profitable business where I don't have to work for nobody else? See, those right there are solutions to the problem. But we get stuck on the problem, we'll never get nothing done.
And we gotta, money, of course, that makes economy goals, that sustains a group of people. But a lot of that stuff is mental.
Yeah.
A lot of it is mental. We need to go back inside of ourselves and all the destructive thought patterns and thought. Like I grew up in an era where you ain't the man because you never been to jail.
Fact.
That is a crazy.
Facts.
That's a crazy way to think.
Fact.
Like, man, I don't want to go to jail. That don't make me hard. That make me stupid.
So